Okay, so we're ready to start coloring in our flower, or whatever it is I've added to my model. Whatever it is that you're going to color, just make sure that you're really happy with how it looks, because once you add a texture to it, it doesn't really play nice with being resized and changing the dimensions, so you won't be able to make it longer or shorter or anything like that. I mean, technically speaking, you can, it just doesn't look very good. I'll show you what I mean once we actually get there. Just make sure that whatever it is you're going to go with, you're just committed to it, though. So I'm committed to my flower. I can't just color it straight on, though. If I were to go to this paint section here and I tried to color it on, it would tell me that this surface does not have a texture, so we are going to give it 1. In the outliner section, go to all of the cubes that you want to add and you select all of these cubes in all of the layers, right? You can shift click to pick a bunch of them at once. You can always add more later, so don't worry about having it already right off the bat, but just grab whatever it is that you're adding on right now, and then right click, UV mode, per face UV. Now this is really important because otherwise certain things will turn invisible. They'll still be there, but it doesn't really play nice with all of these spaces, all of these cubes that are not exactly a 1-to-1 ratio. Like this one is a decimal point wide, right? 0.5 wide. It doesn't particularly like things like that. It's not going to play nice with these really skinny, whatever they're called, the antenna of my flower. It would turn them invisible, essentially. So if you have things that are turning invisible, it's because you forgot to do per face UV. So make sure that's ticked on. Once you do that, keep these guys selected and go to the bottom left side where your skin is. You can right click your skin and click append elements to template, or there's this toolbar right here that will have the append elements to template button as well. When you click that, you will have this pop-up. You will want to untick keep multi-texture occupancy to avoid any overlapping layers, and then click confirm. Now all of your cubes are going to be added basically kind of just al azar randomly, Spanish jump scare, just randomly basically to the top left of your skin. What the program has basically done for you is just found any empty space and it stuffed all of these new faces wherever it could find space. Because you can see these cubes now have all of these new colors on them. Now it has a texture, and it's just found any empty space here. We want to move this somewhere that we can see it more clearly. To do that, make sure that this chain link here is ticked on. It's called Move Texture with UV. Make sure it is ticked on. It should have a blue underline when it is. And then go up here where it says UV, right underneath it you'll see north, east, south, west, up, down. Shift click to pick all of them together. You'll see that all of them have been selected. Once you've done that, drag this guy out into its own space. You know, don't be afraid to move it way out of the way. That's what we made all of this space for. The more blocks you add, the more the empty space is going to fill up quick. This is still kind of disorganized though, so if you want to organize it even further, pick the individual cubes and then do the exact same thing. Select north, east, south, west, up, down, and then drag it out into its own space. And there you can parse it out even further and, you know, make it its own tidy little square, a compact space. Take your time doing this. The more you can keep track of where your UVs are, the less trouble you're going to have, right? Because you can imagine when this starts to fill up with a lot of blocks, losing track of that can you can just spend a lot of time sorting through that later on because you lost track of, you know, where the hell did my wings go, you know? But really, that's basically it. If you wanted to stop here, you know, this is all you wanted to do to your character, you're good to go. You're ready to start coloring it. And I'm going to go through a couple other things in just a moment. But, you know, if you want to just start coloring now, you can just go to the top right section here, where it says Edit, Paint, and Animate, and just click Paint. Now you're going to be met with something that may be quite familiar. You're going to have all of these art tools available to you. You have the brush tool up here, there's a paint bucket, eraser, color picker. Just play around with it, you know. But now I can color my flower. If I want to color directly onto it, I absolutely can. Maybe I can't reach a section super well, so I might go to the canvas up here and instead color it on here. I want to make it perfectly red, right? Let's say I just, I'm not going to make it super pretty right now, but you know, this gives me all the ability I want to color it in completely. Now we have a fully red flower. Well, I forgot these guys. Let's just color these all in as well. Red and orange. Boom. I've colored it in. And yeah, I mean, if you want to just call it there, there it is. So let me show you that thing I mentioned earlier where, okay, I kind of want to resize my flower, and I want to make it longer. If I was to do that, this is kind of what it would happen. You can tell that it's still there, but these pixels have elongated. It just does not play nice with the fact that the texture is not going to add pixels, you know? It's just going to stay the way it is. So once you add a texture, you're committed, unless you want to deal with these things. You might use it for whatever it is you want to use it. Just be aware that this is a side effect, right? And I cannot stress enough keeping track of your UVs, because the most common issue I see people come across is generally related to your UV. So I kind of want to explain this in a little more depth, right? The colors that are over here on your top left, they are separate from the UV map. And you don't really need to understand that super in depth, but just know that the color itself is just pasted onto the canvas, and what the UV map is doing is printing it on there, so you can have several blocks that are copying the same color from the same space. So if I grab this cube and I grab its, maybe like its east face, this blue outline is the UV map, and then the color is just the color. So if I wanted to separate the UV map from the color, I can. That's why I asked you to tick on this chain link, because if I untick it, I can move the UV map away from the color. And now you can see that this face is now transparent because there is no color behind it. And similarly, you know, you can actually have two UV maps that are using the same exact color. So maybe let me recolor this so that you can see the example a little better. This is a really common issue, right? So let's say I have this guy here in the middle. It's sharing space with 3, 4, 5, I don't know, several other UV maps, right? It's taking those colors, but it doesn't mean that the other UV maps can't use that color. So, you know, why is that confusing sometimes? I actually prepared an example for this, because, again, it's such a common issue. I stuck a stick onto my cat's head, and I'm going to color it, okay? I'm going to color it, and I'm going to show you why this is an issue. I'm going to paint it bright green so that it'll stand out, and I'm just going to color straight on this, and you will see, you know, there's other parts of my cat's face that are turning bright green, and that is because they are sharing a UV map. Like, this green color is just part of the canvas, and there just happens to be, if I were to click if I were to go to edit mode and click on the hat, you can see that these UVs are sharing a space. They're overlapping. They're both stealing the same color from this part of the canvas. And, you know, examples of the times that you might come across this issue is like, okay, maybe I'm coloring the hat, but every time I color this part brown, it's turning the bottom of my foot brown, you know? And it's because you'll have these, like, large invisible UV areas that are just overlapping with each other. And all you have to do is separate them, right? So I'm going to grab this cube now, and I'm going to select all of its faces. And I'm just going to take it somewhere where I don't think there's any UVs. And I forgot to make it move with its color, so I'm going to make it move with the color. I'm going to drag it down, and suddenly my problem is completely solved. I no longer have overlapping colors all over the place here. It's a really common issue, okay? So if you ever have color issues, check your UV map, because it happens to everybody. So don't stress about it. Just check your UV maps. And that's about it, really. That's all the basic stuff you needed to know. Not too difficult, just a big checklist of things to do, so have fun painting your character.